But at the
Our
same
continuing
time,
election coverage in progress.
like it's just, who does this and looks good? It's a question. Unless you buy, and I don't think that it's wrong to buy this, but unless you buy that Megyn Kelly is, she's basically Ice Cube in '93. Like, she's just a menace.
Yeah.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
I know. She's on, apparently, the wrong network to F with.
To fox with, you mean?
Yes, the wrong network to fox with.
This is great. I'm excited. We're going to talk Iowa. Corn futures, pork bellies, all kinds of good stuff. Jenny,
pledge.
should I just introduce you off the top?
Sure, why not? I'll be
right.
here. I probably won't talk a ton during the regular headlines.
Yeah, that's fine. No worries.
No, it's better that you're here.
Yeah.
Just in case I have some tech fart.
Yep.
In case the Santorum campaign storms your hotel room.
And I'll try to get all up in here.
All up in your...
All right. You will not play the question. I just saw Straight Outta Compton this weekend, so I'm trying to come up with a metaphor still. All right.
Oh my God. No, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. If you donate $10 per month,
you can
say 1.4 seconds of every single episode is brought to you by you. Head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support to adopt the second I called dibs on the first 2 seconds
of that beautiful theme music.
This is the Daily Tech News for Thursday, January 28th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining us from Iowa, Mr. Justin Robert Young, co-creator of the Contender game and regular contributor right here on the DTNS. How are the fields of Iowa, Justin?
Live and direct from Des Moines, they are glistening with freshly melted snow, Tom. This is maybe the craziest Iowa Caucus season in modern history, and I bring it to you, dear Daily Tech News Show listeners, from the front lines.
Also joining us, because we're going to be talking about some of the technology that'll be rolled out in this caucus, and I know T2T2 and all of Estonia will be laughing at us, but I'll be telling you what we're going to be doing. Jenny Josephson, producer of Daily Tech News Show and former producer at CBS News and many other things, joining us as well to discuss that. How you doing, Jenny?
I'm doing great. Nothing gets me excited like someone in the field covering an election.
Literally in a field.
Literally in a field.
Yeah, well, it's been a lot of strip malls where most of the campaigns have their headquarters.
They paved paradise and they put up a strip mall.
Yeah.
Des Moines is actually pretty fun. I have to admit, at this time of year. So it'll be a cool thing. We're not going to try to localize politics and talk about politics if you're worried about that. We're going to talk about an app that Microsoft is using on the Azure platform. So it's a fully technical topic. It just happens to be that Justin is there in Iowa ahead of the election, so it ties in well. And we should let you know, we know Justin's audio is a little different because he's dealing with some technical difficulties on the road. But, hopefully you can hear and understand him just fine.
Yeah, thank you for your patience because I am in a hotel where, in case you haven't heard, there's a lot of stuff going on in Des Moines, a lot of out-of-town people using a lot of bandwidth, so we are doing our best.
It's like the bandwidth just attempted at the beginning of that sentence to show people this is what he's dealing with, and then it cleared up enough for you to understand. So let us get right to the headlines. Facebook has opened its live streaming function to all iPhone users in the United States. A live button will now show up in your status update section right there along the ones with photos and stickers. When you go live, it will notify your friends and allow replays permanently. So different than Periscope, which limits the amount of time you can replay a live stream.
So Meerkat debuted news, and it is eaten by Periscope. Does Facebook Live eat Periscope?
I don't think so. I don't think the fact that I can just go watch anybody's Periscope at any time is probably the appeal of Periscope and Meerkat, for that matter. This is more, I'm going to stream to my friends. Now, where it could eat into Periscope a little bit is, you know, when Representative Paul Ryan streamed the blizzard from his office on Periscope, he could have very well done that on Facebook and opened it up for everyone to see on his page. But celebrities have been doing that in beta test for a few months now, and I haven't heard of one really like capturing all the interest. So I think it's just going to be a cool feature on Facebook that people will take advantage of, not necessarily a Periscope killer.
Sub question, does this mandate any deep-pocketed social network to do a live function, since now Twitter and Facebook have theirs?
I think people will be eyeballing this very closely to see how well it does. But yeah, I think Periscope nudged Facebook into wanting to do this, and I think now it's going to become a thing that lots of folks are going to be wanting to do. Twitch is adding more Chrome extensions to help out their streamers, and we should disclose, you know, Justin's wife works for Twitch. So yeah, I mean, I think live streaming is becoming something that is a feature that most services are going to want to tap into if they can and if it makes sense.
Makes sense to me. I think it's absolutely.
Oracle announced it will deprecate its Java browser plugin in the JDK9 release of the Java SE Development Kit coming in March 2017. Java plugin, along with the Netscape plugin API, Flash, and Silverlight, have all become a wretched hive of scum and villainy in your browser, and Oracle's finally admitted it. Oracle encourages developers to use the plugin-free version of Java called Java Web Start. Thanks to eBridges13 and Strike It Rich One, both for posting this on the subreddit. End of an era, Justin.
Well, there went Justin.
It was the end of Justin.
It was the end of Justin.
Probably was using a Java plugin, is my guess.
Yeah.
Apple has announced a voluntary recall of AC wall plug adapters with some Mac and iOS devices between 2003 and 2015 for Argentina, Australia, Brazil, continental Europe, New Zealand, and South Korea. Now, even if you're not in one of those countries, the recall includes adapters sold in the World Travel Adapter Kit, which I definitely bought in that time period. Apple says very rare incidents can cause the adapters to break and cause electrical shock. Not every adapter made in that period is being recalled. It's kind of tricky to figure out. You should go to apple.com/support/AC-wallplug-adapter, and we have that link in the show notes as well, to find out if you're concerned and if you think you have one of these adapters.
Is this something that's been a consistent problem for Apple? I feel like I've seen many times their wall plugs and their adapters having issues.
There was one other very famous widespread recall of the iPhone charger, I recall. And recently, Microsoft had a recall on their power adapters for Surface. So this is just another example of Apple imitating Microsoft. The next web reports Tinder has teamed up with Giphy to integrate GIFs into it. Users can now tap a blue button to choose from millions of GIFs to send to a match. Other tweaks include larger emojis, the ability to like incoming messages by tapping on a green heart. Seems like that would mean jealousy. And the ability to upload profile photos from your phone's camera roll. The updated features are out now for iOS, but no word on when they'll arrive for Android. I don't even know people who use Tinder, so I got nothing to say about this other than like, okay, cool new features.
The Daily Tech News Show team has a lot of experience, on the other hand, with Giphy. And if you're in a new relationship and you're trusting Giphy to properly interpret the thing you're saying in your little Giphy / whatever, it might have some seriously unintended consequences for your relationship. That's all I'm going to say. I really love Giphy, and every 10 times it nails it on the head, but those other 9 can be a doozy. And you got to really know a person to be able to roll with Giphy in a conversation.
Although that's in Slack, you get like you put it in and it happens. I think in this you can use the search engine and choose.
Okay, that's a little safer. I like that. Because, oh boy, there have been some Giphies that I would definitely swipe whatever direction unmarried people know to get rid of it.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what. This does seem like I thought Peach. Remember Peach?
The halcyon days of Peach.
Like,
it was more like a halcyon minute.
David Bowie. Yeah, David Bowie was alive. We were so young. I think the idea that you a possible GIF is huge.
And GIFs and GIF keyboards and the ability to choose a GIF and send it to someone has become a regular way of communicating, and almost like the next step beyond emojis. So I think it all makes sense. SP Sheridan wanted our U.S. listeners to note that New York retail folks Ronnie Smowell and Albert Lineando have acquired the brand, domain, and associated trademarks for Circuit City. The two plan to have retail outlets, web sales, private label products, kiosks, mobile shops, franchise opportunities, and more. The company expects to open its first store in Dallas, along with the relaunch of CircuitCity.com this coming June. Bringing it back to the brick and mortar, but with a web strategy from the ground up, with a bunch of people who used to work at Radio Shack, a bunch of people who've been in the web game. I mean, it's an interesting way to do it. You basically rebuild a heritage brand for the modern age.
Well, and specifically rebuild it like a small business, right? Like rebuild it so you have one location and a web strategy. And so a lot of times in these kind of situations, you just overexpand in terms of your retail. And if they are smart about this, you know, it makes about as much sense as anybody opening up a retail store, right? At least this has name brand value.
You know what the funny thing is that they're doing the same thing with Eastern Airlines. So it feels like there's a very small group of airplanes that are being rebranded under the Eastern name, and so it's this sort of like thing of bringing back these very historically laden with significance brands into the 21st century. So I think it's really interesting. I'm curious to see how they turn out.
Yeah, and they're spinning it, right? The Circuit City stores will be smaller than the big box stores. They'll be small box stores. It's almost like a Radio Shack type fill-in now that Radio Shack has gone away. And I have to say, I'm looking forward to that world where I can grab a Burger Chef burger before I hop on my Pan Am flight.
Finally, the full you will feel the full power of this nostalgia train.
Grab Taxi has rebranded itself as just Grab. Well, okay. CEO Anthony Tan said the company now includes private cars, so it's not just taxis. Grab Car. It also has motorbike taxis, Grab Bike, delivery, Grab Express, and carpooling, Grab Hitch. Grab also announced a new corporate service and cashless payment system. It is now out of beta in Singapore and will expand to Indonesia, Philippines, and Malaysia in February, followed by Thailand and Vietnam in the first half of 2016. So really the story here is less about, is Grab such a good name for a company? And more about, this is somebody who is showing Uber the way. Uber is trying to do this as well, but Grab seems to be a little farther down the road at this point.
Well, Grab's also a lot more agile, right? You know, Grab has an opportunity to put these kind of things in and see whether or not they work. You know, for Uber, they're trying every day. They wake up trying to scale their core business. That's what they do. For Grab, you're in a little bit of a smaller pond. You're able to take a few chances, and I think this is smart.
I noticed there's no Grab bus.
I don't know if there's a Grab bus. This isn't an exhaustive list. There might be.
There might be a Grab bus, and I hope you pronounce it correctly.
I know. I hope we can all play the game of Grab bus.
There's got to be some kind of Southeast Asian dish that would fit into that.
Let's not even get it. I mean, like, hey, it's going to be every email for the next 2 months.
Phuket will have it.
Oh, stop it.
Samsung warned profits are expected to remain flat for the next 6 months, but recover in the second half of 2016. Economic issues like the exchange rates that Apple cited are also affecting Samsung, obviously. Slowing IT demand is also to blame. For Q4, Samsung raised profit 15% year over year, and revenue rose 1.1%. Full year operating profit was up 1.4 trillion won as well. The semiconductor part of Samsung is doing the best out of this. The phone part of it is they're trying to keep it going well and not have it collapse. And it's not. Samsung was the number one in phones shipped and phones sold, both for Q4 and all of 2015. So Samsung is still doing very well in that, but they are also well diversified to be a chip company as well.
So what does this mean for Samsung as a whole, though, right? I mean, like, because they are so, at least in America, tied to their phone identity, no matter how much they want to try to make themselves the galaxy of other peripherals that we can use with our Samsung phone.
It means that you have a skewed vision of Samsung if you're looking at them from the United States, I think, because their semiconductor section is booming. I'm not saying that they wouldn't hurt if the phone market just fell apart. But they're well positioned to be a chip company rather than an accessory company. I mean, they can sell if they can sell chips to other manufacturers like Apple, for instance, which they do.
Yeah.
They're in pretty good shape.
Well, certainly so. But, you got to wonder whether or not in terms of how they are understood publicly, or if they're tied to the idea that they believe that retail brand means something and it's worth it to keep alive, because the next time there's a big, gigantic vertical that they can be an advantageous player in, they want the Samsung name hot for retail.
And for sure, though, that's a really good point, because what you see them, I mean, obviously, they're the number one smartphone maker in the world in 2015. They're not going to stop making phones. But if they're smart, they're trying to say, well, when the phones do decline, where do we go next? And that's why you see the Samsung Gear Watch and the Samsung Gear VR. They definitely don't want to leave the consumer electronics business. Alibaba saw its third quarter revenue grow 32%. Its gross merchandise volume is their bigger number. That's the total value of goods transacted on the platform and in its marketplace. That number rose 23% to 964 billion yuan. Revenue rose to 34.53 billion yuan, beating expectations of 33.33 billion yuan. And Alibaba also fighting against a slowing Chinese market, as everyone who trades worldwide is. So Alibaba did well considering.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is something that is a major player for anybody who deals, of foreign goods. But, I don't know. I mean, like, is that something where, are we at a point where Alibaba becomes more of a big name to American retail? The Super Bowl's coming up. Will we ever see Alibaba Super Bowl commercial?
Well, and they actually answered that question both ways in various interviews and earnings calls around this. In one, they said, no, we're focused on our Chinese market because we're doing quite well there. That was the one directed at Chinese investors, saying, we're not abandoning you anytime soon. At the same point, they're traded in the United States, and they are very aggressively saying, yes, we plan to move into the United States market more and more. So I have a feeling that they would love to have more of a presence here. At the same time, Pokemon is the closest thing to a Super Bowl commercial that you're going to get to Alibaba, I think. At least this year. Amazon report, I only say that because I did a Google search for Alibaba Super Bowl commercial, and I got Pokemon as the only result.
I got that they have 4 major ad businesses, so they're doing just fine.
Yeah. Well, and Alibaba's trying to diversify into being a video streaming service and an electronics company. So they're trying to do what all of these companies are trying to do, which is be in a lot of different businesses. Amazon reported a 21.8% rise in quarterly revenue to $482 million and $1 earnings per share, up from 45 cents a share last year. Net sales rose to $35.75 billion, but analysts thought they'd do better. Analysts wanted $1.56 per share on sales of $35.98 billion. So they did not beat the street. And that's Amazon, man. They always shave things real close to the bone.
Well, and that's the problem, right? For Amazon, if they do not have the raw volume, they're not going to have the numbers. That's just their business model.
Microsoft posted $5 billion in net income and 62 cents a share on revenue of $23.8 billion. The company reported total income of $6.3 billion and 78 cents a share, not net, that's the gross. Analysts had expected gross 71 cents a share, so they beat that by 7 cents, and revenue of $25.2 billion. By tomorrow, we'll have lots of numbers about how the different divisions of Microsoft did and who, how many Windows installs. I think so far, all I've seen is Satya Nadella said that they're pretty close to the number that they want to be on Windows installs, but we'll hear more about that as it comes. But mostly they're saying, hey, we did really well, and the street is rewarding them for that. Surface revenue did dip last quarter, and this time it's up year over year by 29%, which it's all pretty good news, except for the phones. Phone sales were weak.
Tom, is it possible that we could see a resurgence in Satya Mania? The Satya Mania that we remember from so many months ago?
It's a pretty good result for Microsoft at a time when people are questioning Apple's pretty good results. So yeah, maybe a little Satya Mania will be on the rise. We'll see. Deserved or not. That is a look at the headlines. Thanks to everybody who submitted stories at our subreddit, dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, and you should get in there and vote. Let us know what you want us to talk about. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. That is a look at the headlines. All right, so the Iowa Caucus. If you're not from the United States, it's confusing. If you're from the United States, it's confusing. It is a caucus, not a primary, but it is the first election in primary season, right?
Yeah.
And
first in the nation. And go ahead.
Well, there's a difference between the way the Republicans and Democrats do their caucuses. The Republicans, voters sign in at a precinct, and then they sit and they listen to presentations on behalf of each candidate. Then they write their name of the candidate they prefer on a piece of paper, and then it's handed in by secret ballot. But it's not a traditional, here's a printed ballot, choose who you want. It's a sit around and listen and then write down a name. Democrats get even weirder, as far as I'm concerned. They go in and stand in a corner of the candidate they prefer, and then groups try to persuade people to leave their corner and come over to their corner, hence the phrase, come over to my corner. And if a group doesn't meet a preset threshold of numbers, then that group is freed to go join whatever corner they want. And at the end of that hoedown, somehow they have a number of delegates allocated per precinct to the various candidates.
At what point do they yell corner on the market?
I think that's while they're playing pit, waiting for somebody to decide which corner they're going to join in.
Got it.
Yeah, and believe you me, in this election, we have candidates that will protect their corners, Marlo Stanfield style. This is one of the best hokey, corn-fed, silly elements of our political process. I love it dearly. I hope it never changes. In fact, I only hope it gets weirder. But it's a complicated thing. Even if you love it, even if you really, really are a huge fan of it, it's a complicated thing to keep track of. But understand this. On Monday night, when the caucus is over, you will see percentages for Bernie Sanders, percentages for Hillary Clinton. Those are approximations that are invented by the news media so they can give you that information in the same way you're normally used to getting it. Because unlike regular popular votes, that doesn't exist in the Iowa caucus. There is only a general percentage of the delegates that are given out. So there have been this year, or this cycle rather, some efforts made to digitize the process.
Right. There was a mistake in 2012 in the reporting where they declared Mitt Romney to be the winner of the Iowa caucus, but they were missing some votes and there were some incorrect tallies, which they corrected, and then weeks later declared the official winner to be Rick Santorum. Now, a lot of people say that that derailed his campaign because the winner of the Iowa caucus does get a boost in publicity and gets a boost of morale for their staff. So this year, Microsoft and a company called InterKnowlogy, That's KNOW, InterKnowlogy, which
Get
is
it?
co-founded by a former Microsoft employee, but specializes in interfaces. Those two companies have stepped in to provide apps and an Azure-based cloud system for reporting the results in an effort to make them more instantaneous and more accurate. So precinct captains that'll be watching the hoedown or counting the secret ballots can then use an iOS, Android, or Windows phone, and there's apps for all of those, and they will be able to verify by phone number. I actually tried one out, and I got to the point where it said, okay, put in the verified phone number that you're a precinct captain. I'm like, well, I'm not, so I can't go any farther. But that's how it's verified, to be able to enter the statistics. Now, they can only log in for 15 minutes. They have to use two-factor authentication to make sure it's them. The buttons are apparently big and hard to mistake, because the old system was touch-tone phone, and you could easily type 22 on a touch-tone phone instead of 2 when you're reporting your votes. Mistaken tallies are also flagged on the central headquarters end by the Azure Cloud Platform. If it sees something that's like, wait a minute, that's a lot of numbers for that precinct, or these numbers don't add up, and it will try to catch the mistakes and double check them before submission is officialized. And the best part is you can watch this, because the results, as they are accepted, will be posted in real time at iowacaucusproject.org. They will also still have an old system that uses that touch-tone phone in case somebody has a problem with this new system in reporting. But not everybody's happy about this system, right?
No, certainly not. And by the way, just 2 seconds to go back to why this is a problem that needed to be solved. The results of the Iowa caucus, which were very razor thin, as we found out, were held up last cycle because somebody could not get reception on their touch-tone phone and had to drive their results into another area. And so literally the entire political world was held up because somebody was lost getting from point A to point B. This serves to be a better situation. However, Bernie Sanders, the lead challenger to Hillary Clinton, somebody that has, depending on who you ask, a good to very good chance to make this caucus competitive on the Democratic and more complicated side, says this is a gameable system. Furthermore, for this campaign against the billionaire ruling class, he's uncomfortable with the fact that a major that has a lot of money from former employees and current employees going to Hillary Clinton is the one that has the name.
Well, you're breaking up a little bit there, Justin. So I just want to add that Bernie Sanders is pointing out that in 2008, employees of Microsoft gave money to Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders wasn't running for president in 2008. We don't know who's been giving money to Bernie Sanders this time around. Although 2 years ago, the last time Bernie Sanders was elected to Congress, it was mostly unions that gave him money. So the guess is, even this year, it's probably likely that Bernie Sanders isn't getting a lot of money from Microsoft.
I think that, just to jump in for a second, that the larger point, like, candidates always gripe about fairness of this and fairness of that, and each of them have their own independent reporting systems as a backup to make sure, like they do, that they don't end up getting a miscounted system. But I think that the bigger point is, I'm not so worried about the fact that it's Microsoft is the fact that it's only Microsoft and some other associated company. Like, if you're going to make a system in which electronic reporting of results in any part of the electoral system is widespread, I would kind of like it to be a consortium. I would kind of like it to be a sort of a let's all kick in Peace Corps type of a deal, where the best technology is being put into play for the American governmental system, rather than one company doing it, which could either be seen to be manipulatable by some, or at the very least, how are they going to benefit from it? And so that would be where I would take it, is like, let's just get like a lot of people in on this system and see if we can make it the best it can be.
But Jenny, as somebody who's worked with the people that make those decisions, if one company did not just step up and say, we can fix it, here's an app, do you think it would have gotten done by 4 years or within 8 years?
Right,
16 years from a major screw up?
You're absolutely right. And that's why, that's the problem, is that the one company has been like, look, we're going to do this, we're going to do it, but then wouldn't you open it up then? If it's one company doing it, wouldn't you have to open it up for a level of review and sort of an open source sort of second, third, fourth, fifth look that I don't necessarily know that Microsoft would want to do, because I don't know, and no disrespect at all to the Iowa Democratic and Republican local, the state parties, but I don't know if they've got the eyes on that would make me feel comfortable.
Well, in a certain case, it's very easy to get into tech fear, unwarranted tech fear here. And I think some candidates may want to take advantage of that and say, hey, Luddites, they're trying to use their technology, those fancy Silicon Valley companies, they're corporations, let's not trust them. And some of that is unfair. The people who are the precinct captains can check later and say, hold on, that's not the number I remember reporting. And there are ways to double check that. And the candidates, like you said, will be doing their own double checking. So there's very little I think Microsoft could get away with if they wanted to fix the election. All of that said, there are lots of chicanery that could happen to derail things, like what happened last year accidentally, or not last year, but last time, where a winner was declared who wasn't the winner, and that can definitely affect the prospects of a candidate. So I think I'm on the balance between saying, well, look, don't distrust Microsoft just because they're a technology company. There isn't that much they can do, and there isn't a lot of motivation for them to do horrible things. At the same time, why not make it open source? Microsoft could easily make this open source. I have not seen anything that indicates it's anything but a closed source proprietary system that runs on Azure. There's no reason Microsoft couldn't make it open source, and they should. In fact, if Microsoft wants to be the one that says, look, we just want to get in here, we want to do this for free for the good of the country, then open the source code so that everybody can look and see what it's doing. I mean, you can see the effects of it on either end. Why not do that?
Yeah.
Well, and I would suspect the answer to that question is no one asked, right? That we are just at a point where now it's becoming a thing because of Bernie Sanders. And by the way, I don't blame the Bernie Sanders campaign. As Jenny knows, the reason why campaigns constantly complain about fairness is the same reason why basketball coaches and football coaches constantly bother the refs. It's just to make sure that they would rather be in their ear than not in their ear. And that's what's happening, I think, with Bernie Sanders. But you're totally right, Tom. This should be something that's open.
Yeah, because I have no problem with Microsoft doing it. Just make it an open source effort that they're behind. Google has tons of open source efforts. Hell, Microsoft has tons of open source efforts. Everybody's open sourcing things regarding AI and machine learning. Why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you put as much effort behind that? Why wouldn't you call in some countries who actually have lots of experience on this to help? Of which, I mentioned Estonia before, but there's more than just that country, and they're really good at it. So, I feel like in some cases, I'm sympathetic to the Sanders campaign in saying, well, why is Microsoft doing this for free? Because they're not doing it for free in the most altruistic way they possibly could. At the same time, I think you're right, Justin. It's because, this was just easier.
Yeah, and also when it comes to the independent reporting systems of the Sanders and the Clinton campaign, just because they're the ones that had been announced that have them, I think you run into whole other issues if those happen to be electronic. I don't know, did they say whether those are electronic or the old system of just like precinct captains reporting in? Because if it's electronic, you might run into the Mitt Romney problem of when they tried to build an app to get in independent verification and it blew up in their face. So I'm not sure that I necessarily, as a potential voter, trust a candidate's app to do the right thing either. Oh, now we lost Tom. This is fantastic. Iowa is taking a toll on the podcast.
I mean, come on. Who could blame LTE coverage in Iowa? I mean, if this episode has shown us anything, is that it's reliable and robust.
Yeah. So wait. So overall,
in a way, I'm sorry. We lost connected audio from video there for a second. So summarize the past 10 seconds.
We were mostly making fun of you
we were
going
just
away.
lauding. Yeah, we were also lauding how great LTE is in Iowa, which is what they're going to be relying on to report these facts and figures.
I suggested that the NSA probably didn't like us questioning the electoral system, so there you go. Well, anyway, I guess what I would say is I'm actually glad that they're doing a cloud-based reporting system. I'm glad that they're leaving the old system in place as a backup. I think that's wise. The only thing I would say is open source it. Make it open. Make it replicable for other states to use. Make it so it doesn't have to run on Azure. And then I'll be more in support of this sort of thing.
I think someone had a really good idea. I think it was Carl in the chat room who said we can't trust a voting system unless it's written in assembly and verified by Steve Gibson.
No. I mean, Carl makes a point. He made a good point in there that open source still takes a lot of time to look at. It's not a panacea, but at least you can look at it, which you can't. So I would say it's better to have it that way. It certainly doesn't fix everything.
Well, I will here. I would say final thought in this order. Good job, Microsoft. I think this is a step in the right direction. Online voting is something that should be more of a prevalent thing in America. This brings us closer as opposed to farther away. But open it up. Open sesame. It's the right move to do, and it's what we need.
Our pick of the day comes from Will in Maidenhead. Said, you mentioned in passing on yesterday's show that computers had mastered checkers decades ago. There's a really good book about this called One Jump Ahead. It's written by Jonathan Schaefer, who led development teams for the computer program that played checkers. It's a fascinating story, and the descriptions of the software's games against world champion Dr. Marion Tinsley are particularly gripping. Dr. Tinsley was probably the greatest checkers player ever. Over the course of his 45-year playing career, he only lost 7 games.
Wow.
Then he lost to a computer. So check it out.
That's
called
insane.
One Jump Ahead by Jonathan Schaefer. Thank you, Will, for that pick. Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. One message of the day before we get out of here. Cameron in warm Adelaide. Don't rub it in, Cameron. Said, if Twitter is struggling with growth, and there is a chance they get bought out, imagine if LinkedIn bought them, or vice versa, maybe a merger. Twitter being the business to public face, LinkedIn being the business to employee face. It would be a tough integration maybe, and a hard sell to passionate supporters of both camps, but you could see how LinkedIn would be salivating over the potential numbers of businesses that need Twitter, and how Twitter would get a more robust back end and purpose. Crazy? Yes, but maybe Facebook has your social life, and the work and business lives need to be gathered together for strength.
Well, there's a whole other show in what I think about this email. It's actually a great show about like how you could integrate stuff like that. But I also think the one point that's missing is there's a lot more going on Twitter than just business and marketing. Like there's actual occasional authentic human conversation. So I don't know if I want LinkedIn associated with that.
But you don't have to merge the two services. I think that's the key. And Cameron starts to make it sound like you would, but just like Instagram was not merged into Facebook, but they're both benefiting from being in the same company. I think LinkedIn and Twitter could benefit that way. Maybe a unified sales staff, maybe not. Leave LinkedIn as LinkedIn. LinkedIn's doing very well these days, and maybe Twitter can learn something from it.
Well, and by the way, what an upset for those of us who have followed this, that like LinkedIn, it is the winner, the one, the outlast, outsmart, outconquer. The beloved media darling that is Twitter.
Well, LinkedIn, the Friendster and MySpace era social network, which when it launched really wasn't considered a social network per se, at least wasn't by me, and has now become more so every day and is used more and more all the time. The reason Justin Robert Young is in Iowa, folks, is because of the contender.us. Justin Robert Young, where will you be tonight?
Tonight, we are going to be at Mayhem Comics. That is 7500 University Avenue. The First in the Nation Card Caucus begins this evening. Come on down if you are in the Des Moines area. In about an hour and a half from when we are recording this. Go ahead and hop in your car, drive on out. We're going to be there for a couple hours, play the game. When you win, you can choose whatever candidate you want. At the end of this, on Monday morning, we will again drive to one of the headquarters, and we will have a gigantic novelty check which we will provide, or we will present to the candidate whose campaign and supporters have won the first in the nation card caucus. On that check, the hearts and minds of the population of America.
That is a check that America can cash.
It is. And, we're super excited about it. Follow our Twitter, @ContenderGame. Go on Facebook.com/TheContenderGame. Like that page. Video and pictures to beat the band. Periscopes up the wazoo. This thing is blowing up. We've had such a good time already, and we're barely past the halfway mark on day one.
Well, check it out, thecontender.us. If you're not in Iowa, if you are in Iowa, get to Des Moines. I don't care if you're over in the Quad Cities. You got a car. You can get a car. You can hitch. Don't hitch.
Absolutely.
Don't hitch. Oh, God, don't hitch.
By the way, and just real quick, our other events, Friday, January 29th, 6 to 10 p.m. at Carl's Place, 1620 Woodland Avenue. Saturday, January 30th, 2 p.m. at the Up Down Arcade Bar, 500 Locust Street. It's going to be so fun. I'm excited to see everybody, especially the DTNS folks.
Yeah, bro, wear your DTNS T-shirt and then vote for Jenny when it's time when you win. That is it for this Daily Tech News Show. Jenny Josephson has a brand new episode of Tell It Anyway out at tellitanyway.com featuring Rich from lovely Cleveland and Hammond.
It's the episode of two people I met on the internet, which is very appropriate for the first year of year 2 of Tell It Anyway. Also, we've got this little podcast called Let's Talk About Star Wars.
Yes,
and we have a newish episode out on that. Justin, I saw the face. I
want to be on it.
I know. Well, we'll talk in the post show because I have all sorts of ideas about that.
Howl me.
Support the show, folks. We don't exist without you. For those of you who do support the show, incredible thanks. We cannot thank you enough. You've changed our lives. If you get some value out of the show and you haven't given us some value back already, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support and choose the way and the amount of value you think we deserve. Stay tuned after the audio show for a tech and travel segment, tips for hotel Wi-Fi, Justin, from Chris the podcaster, and a medical minute to help you sleep better from Kieran. If you're watching video or you're listening live, you can get those episodes in the treasure chest as well. That's for any of our Patreon supporters at the $5 a month level or more, patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Call us 512-59-DAILY. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. Visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Darren Kitchen and Len Peralta. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom.
Boom. Topicality.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
How terrible was the audio?
In like 2 or 3 places it got terrible. It got unintelligible. The rest of the time it was fine.
Yeah.
All right.
And besides, you're out in the field in Iowa. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, even on CNN, they have people. I mean, but they're usually getting shot at when they're
yeah,
when their phones
or they're in deepest Afghanistan. This is like a 4-wire back in the day.
And that's the difference. DTNS allows you to have a bad connection from the field without getting shot at. I think that's a benefit.
It's a benefit, yeah. We're sorry, your vote could not be completed as dialed. BioCow.
That's the old system, actually.
Yeah. Tinvec, by the way, came up with the actual thing I was looking for, which was Grab Pass, a comprehensive pass for all Grab vehicle systems.
Stop it, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep,
Come
that
on.
was Tinvec.
I don't understand. Why is that a problem? I think it's a great thing to have a pass.
I will not explain it to you.
I would, if that was NFC, I would tap that pass on anything.
Tom, check your privilege and your privacy settings.
check your terms of service.
All right, I'm done. Good night, everybody. Okay, so let's see. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of titles. Damn the bad. That's Damn the Bandwidth. Full Stream Ahead. That's sort of meta show.
Yeah.
Justin Robot Young.
Also, a very meta show.
I mean, I'm personally fine with vote for Jenny, but I'm not running for anything, and so that might be confusing.
I could do that. I could get behind vote for
By
Jenny.
the way, my Wi-Fi, if you think this is bad, my Wi-Fi right now is a beefy 1.11 down and a nearly symmetrical 0.59 up.
Oh my gosh. That's like better than my office, though. No, I'm just kidding. My office is much better now.
We're sorry. Your vote could not be completed as dialed.
I really like that.
Could we shorten it to your vote could not be completed as dialed?
Yeah,
that's great.
Would it still work? Because I think it's a little long, but that might make it.
But I like that. Because I don't see any Iowa ones that are like...
Vote for Jenny's.
Caucus or Iowa.
Caucus? They hardly knew us.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Dig Iowa or Digi Iowa? Yeah. No. I think your vote could not be completed as dialed is pretty great.
Yeah, your vote could not be completed as dialed.
Hey, and props to us for not going straight to the ageism of aging precinct captains. I like that. I like that we just didn't go
exactly there. Or to the age of Bernie Sanders and the fact that he's screaming how to use a phone.
Well, I did want to bring up, and it's not a big deal that I didn't. I didn't want to bring up that it is presumptuous of Microsoft to think that every precinct captain will have a smartphone.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with age. That's just well, wait a minute. What if they don't have
affordability?
Yeah. Affordability and just, I'm I don't have a need for a smartphone. Why do I, I'm young, I'm smart, and I just don't want one.
Well, but isn't part of it, I mean, and I don't know whether or not this is part of the program, but it wouldn't shock me if it's if you do not have a smartphone will be provided to you.
Yeah, in the article from The Atlantic, they said that they would work with precinct captains to make sure they had access to a secure phone. So I think the party steps in at that point and says, okay, well, Bob over here will let you use his phone. So and he's secure. He's signed
he's
off.
Bob. He's super.
He's Bob. He's Bob from the Demopuns.
So all right. So here we go. I got it in the mail. Contender and politically incorrect pack. I could not be more excited. This is going to get played in our house in the next couple of days. It's so exciting.
Awesome. Well, you want to open it up? You want to take
a look? I'm going to unbox. This is my only ever unboxing. All right, got
everybody,
the cool old school scissors. Right here, the Contender is a social card game inspired by the vim and vigor of a real presidential debate. 500 cards, age 11 to plus, not counting the politically incorrect pack. Players 3+, time 15+ minutes. That's my kind of game. All right, here we go. Here we go. If I do it like this, they're all going to fall out right now. Okay. Look at this. Welcome to the presidential arena. 40 topic cards, 460 argument cards. That's going to go great in the Flanagan household. We love to argue. Oh, this is fantastic. Look at this, room for future packs. I like that. Leave a little room.
Which, by the way, led to many packages being damaged in transit.
Oh.
But we are committed to it. We like it.
Oh, I like the setup. Whoever has the most presidential hair is the first moderator. Everyone else is a candidate. I love this. This is so exciting.
So to give the rules to anybody who's not aware of it, start off like Cards Against Humanity or Apples to Apples. You get dealt 5 cards. 1 card goes in the middle, 1 topic card. But that's where it changes. From then on, you begin to make your arguments by putting down 3 cards in front of you. Once everybody puts down 3 cards, that's the end of the round. You go one by one, so you can put down 1 card to start with and then follow it up with 2 cards when it comes back around to you. If you feel you have an awesome sentence that you can already put together, just plop down 3 cards. But that's a risk because you better hope it's really memorable and doesn't get forgotten by the time that everybody else goes. Or you can just have 3 one-liners, or wait and see if somebody's going to say something stupid, so when it comes back to you, you can jump on them with the perfect comeback.
Oh, I love these. I'm
then,
reading
of
the
course,
politically incorrect ones.
Yeah, the politically correct one is basically the main deck is family friendly. Pick it up, play with your fam. If this is more of a friends tabletop night, bar game kind of situation, pick up the politically incorrect deck as well. Basically, all the cards that we had to cut to make it family friendly, they all went in there. Lots of stuff, including, to me, my favorite topic card in the entire game, which is your child. So you get to fill in any of the blanks with your child.
Well, I'm super excited, and I know lots of people that are going to be playing it. And as it turns out, Justin, I did some research. I'm too old to know anybody covering stuff in Iowa.
I mean, listen, we definitely made ABC News in the background today. Here's the only difference. It was the ABC News Snapchat. We literally saw an interaction between Justin Long and ABC News wherein a paid professional of a national media outlet walked up to a celebrity and said, "Hey, can I snap you for ABC?"
Nice. I'm not giving up. I'm reaching out across all bases, but apparently the people I know are no longer the type who go to Iowa. They're the type who send people to Iowa.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you what. But we met up with the bus. Her name is escaping me. Miller for CNN.
Mm-hmm.
She was there. So we were amongst all the Bernie bus folks today. So who knows? We are going to continue doggedly in our campaign. We sold a bunch to a Ray Gun, which is a rad store here in Des Moines, and hopefully
awesome.
we'll sell a lot more at these events.
Would you say that?
Anyway, all right. Speaking,
I was just curious, who gave you the warmest welcomes?
The warmest welcomes were easily Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders.
I think that's our projections for the Iowa Caucus.
Yeah.
Yeah, the warmest. Now, we effectively, by the polls, went to go meet up with the underdogs today. Tomorrow we will visit the favorites. We will visit Donald Trump. We will visit Hillary World. So we will see whether or not maybe they will be super, super cool with us as well. But as it stands right now, Ted Cruz's people were very efficient, very busy, but very, very kind. Excited about the First in the Nation card caucus. Took a picture with a volunteer and the deck. Very excited. And Bernie Sanders, man, it was like being in college all over again. It's just a bunch of people really excited about listening to an older white guy. It was amazing.
It's a selection bias, but sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck. And then when you get back, I have thoughts in a Star Warsian set of thoughts.
Come at me.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And by the way, I'm so excited about it. I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet, but I know I will love it because it's three of my favorite people between the two of you and Garrett. So, congratulations on the launch, and I'm pumped to listen.
It's a good time.
Awesome.
It's a good time.
See you guys.
All right.
Bye.
Adios.
That was a good show.
Yeah, if it weren't for the technical issues, it would have been one of the best shows of the year.
Yeah. And I think that we minimized it by having you read the headlines, all of them.
It helps.
Yeah.
The bigger problem was the break in the video halfway through, which wasn't even Justin.
Yeah.
That was just weird.
That just happened.
Can't wait to go watch and find out what you guys said.
Not very much, because I've now learned the lesson that you're still talking, and so we don't try to say anything substantive.
But now the folks on video will only hear you talking.
Yeah.
So,
no, we basically were like, we just laughed about the fact that you were gone. I think if it had gone 30 more seconds, we would have gone into some show.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that was the right call for sure.
Yeah. Because I know immediately you're still
while
talking.
I frantically refreshed the page to make it reconnect, I just said, like, Jenny's making a really good point there. Blah, 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 blah.
That was fun. I love being on this show sometimes.
Actually, I will add that it helped that you were on, Jenny.
Yeah, it was just like one other human voice that sounded reasonable in terms of like audio quality. Although I do see I'm still peaking, and that's really stressing me out.
You know,
I hope it doesn't come through, Tom, as like super garbled.
Now you're echoing.
That's
That
me,
might be
probably.
Roger.
That's
Probably Roger.
It's me.
Yeah, I'm in the red, like really hot.
Do you have a compressor? Do you use a compressor?
I'm using a Focusrite that goes to a Mackie.
So no, you're not.
No.
I guess none of the audio. There's no software suite that allows you to basically do the job of an audio compressor.
No. All right, so now I'm talking at full volume, and it's not redlining. So God, Tom, I hope it comes out okay. You would have heard
fine.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have heard it if it came out super grumpy. Clippy. Yeah, that Let's Talk About Star Wars was so clippy, sometimes it just flat out stopped, which was super bummer.
I normally, for recording audio, I always set the thing to run at least -6 dB on the whatever. I mean, for a digital recording device, because you can always amp it up somewhere else in someone else's panel, but it does give you some headroom if you're in a situation where you can't control the audio completely.
Yeah, one of the things I learned is that the peak for field recordings for certain radio companies is like -12 dB, which I always thought it was like higher, but that makes sense in a way.
I mean, especially with digital gear, the more padding you can add is generally good. I mean, of course, you don't want to go too far. But,
Yeah.
you know, for like everything I've been taught, it's always been around -6, just to make sure you get it. You get it loud enough, but you also don't. You can avoid clipping if someone starts talking too close to a microphone or something.
Clipping.
Maybe Microsoft could revive Clippy.
We noticed you're clipping.
Would you like to do something about that? Okay, what else?
That's it. Out of the
That's all we
post.
got. All
It was
right.
a really good show.
Thanks, man.
I mean, like I think this is part of what I was trying to articulate. Oh, are we still streaming?
Yeah.
Is that well, it was like just having like Justin there and actually being in the mix of it, giving his eyewitness. That's such a
Iowa Witness.
His Iowa Witness.
Oh, that would have been a great show title. It's great because it's like, oh, I got someone on the ground.
Yeah.
There.
Well, and it is mostly optics, in that the story we talked about didn't need him to be there, but it was a great opportunity because he was there. And so he can flesh it out with like, hey, I was actually at this campaign headquarters earlier today. And then, that stuff just makes it more fun to listen to.
It makes it stand out and a little more engaging.
Yeah.
Because then you would just be a bunch of talking virtual heads.
That's our show, Roger.
Oh.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll talk to you tomorrow from our heads.
Bye, Eddie.